Hello there and welcome to the channel, and if you're familiar with these videos you'll know that we do like to pick through our newsfeed to see if there's any interesting gardening articles coming through from the legacy media. And today's next section, because Devon Live have sent through a fantastic one, or published one, from Alan Titchmarsh. Although it's not Alan Titchmarsh who's written the article, he's interviewed somewhere at some point and someone else has written it down, and that can cause problems because while Alan Titchmarsh is an excellent horticulturist, when people start putting his words into their own articles, then mistakes can creep in. Although on this occasion it's actually worked out pretty well, everything seems to be fine, although I'm going to be expanding on it because there is better information, and God knows when this article was written. Anyway, so there are three things Alan Titchmarsh recommends you do now prior to the spring to save you time and work and effort later on. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to give you one more at the end, a fourth one that will actually save you some real money. Let's get on with it. Now, we are recording this mid-January, so it's only 2 more weeks before February, and that means 2 more weeks before we start sowing some of our early seeds for our spring displays. Now, with regards to that, Alan Titchmarsh has this to say. Go out into the garden, find your stash of garden pots and start having a pick through. Check in them, check around them, check under them, because almost guaranteed you're going to be finding overwintering snails. And while they're all dormant and stuck where they are, then they're easy to deal with. Now, dealing with them is down to you. You know, Alan doesn't like to, dispatch them or stand on them, but what he does like to do is chuck them over the wall into the lane, and I'm assuming so that they can get run over by cars, but he doesn't go into those details. But however you want to deal with them, now is a great time to do it before they start their onward march towards your growing seedlings and herbaceous plants coming out into the borders. So that's a great one. Pick through your pots, remove as many of the snails as you can. Now, I would recommend either bagging them up, put them in the car and driving a considerable way away before releasing them back into the wild. Reason for that is because they can home themselves back into your garden if they are not put too far away. Yes, snails do have a certain amount of homing instinct, so remove them, send them a long way away so they can't come back, or alternatively dispose of them as you see fit. Well, we won't get into details, we'll leave that to your own conscience. Alan Titchmarsh's second job is back with the pots again. Now, we're all going to assume that you'll be using these pots later on to put on your seedlings, and the problem when you start using old pots is that they can be contaminated. They can be bacteria, fungal spores, whatever, still residing in any old compost lying around. So it's always best practice to, before you use them, to wash them and then sterilize them. So get yourself some warm soapy water, get them all cleaned, and after that soak them in a sterilized fluid of some description. It could be some bleach and some water, but before you do that, check what are the recommended dosages for your water. And it is important, especially if you've had an infection go through your plants, as we pretty much all have to experience that at some point in time, and you don't want to repeat that in the spring. So if you're going to reuse old pots, keep them clean, keep them sterilized, and then you're bang ready to go in the spring. It's great advice. Now, if you are finding the information in this video useful, or perhaps just mildly amusing and you'd like to pass it on, then by all means press the like button. It supports this channel immensely and helps us do what we do. Don't forget, you can also click onto the subscription button. Subscription is absolutely free and you can unsubscribe at any time. It doesn't cost you anything, and if you want to be notified whenever we publish a new video, then all you need to do is click on that notification bell. Anyway, let's continue to find out what old Boilbelt has to say. Now, before we get on to Alan Titchmarsh's third piece of advice, I just want to go back to the issue with the snails. Not so much snails, but slugs. I mean, yes, snails are going to cause you some damage, but I think a bigger threat to your plants is going to be slugs. And although it's not covered in the article, I'm going to cover it now. Now, the Royal Horticultural Society my favourite horticulture society. Now, they've done extensive tests on how to manage slug populations in the gardens, and since the metaldehyde slug pellets were banned a few years back, you can't use them anymore in the gardens. And good thing too, because, well, the toxin does dispatch slugs very well. There are many predators that eat the slugs that will then ingest the toxin too, and then damage them too, you know, especially birds, small mammals, what have you. So it's a good thing it's done. So what are the alternatives? After extensive trials, the alternatives are very slim. You can use beer traps. They do work to a certain extent, but you do need like a yeasty smelling beer. It's possible that you could use, say, a Marmite solution. I've not tried that, but you know, it's what you hear about on the grapevine. But arguably the best way to manage your slug populations is to go out at night and with a torch, gloves, pick them off the plants that you see, and then again you can either dispatch them as you see fit and how your conscience allows. Some people bag them and freeze them. Not putting them anywhere near my food. And others will, again, like Alan recommends, is dispose of them by taking them away and releasing them in the wild. Maybe somebody else's garden that you don't get on with too well. But you know, this is the modern age, and one of the best solutions at the moment is to use nematodes against slugs. Now, you can buy these online. You won't be able to buy these in the shops because you have to buy them fresh. They've got quite a short shelf life. So you buy them, and then you got to keep them in the fridge if your wife or whoever will allow you to, and then they need to be mixed up and applied, and to be applied on wet soils. And if there's no rain coming in the spring, which can happen in the UK, then you will need to water it in. So these nematodes are water mobile, and these can attack any of the slugs that will be overwintering under the soil surface. So that's a key thing. It's a key job, and probably I've not used it. I have used it before, but I've not used it in my own garden before. This spring may be the first spring, because flipping it, last year it was an absolute bloodbath. Bloodbath of damage from slugs in the garden. Been really bad. So there you go. That's the issue with slugs. That's what I recommend. And let's get on to Alan's final recommended job. Recommended job number 3 is to do with direct sowing or planting of seedlings into the soil, and it's not a trick, but it's a practice that's often used in the commercial industry, where you have your seed beds outside. Now, that could be in raised borders, raised beds, or just large areas if you're lucky enough to have that much land. Then Alan recommends putting down black plastic. That does 2 things. Firstly, keeps the rain off the soil, so it keeps the soil drier. Drier soils warm up earlier and quicker in the spring. And secondly, the blackness of the plastic absorbs heat and light from the sun, warms up the soil just below the plastic. So it does 2 things: helps keep the soil drier, helps keep the soil warmer. And we're only talking like a degree, 2 degrees at most. But if you put that black plastic down now, leave it on, ready for when your seedlings, or when you're ready to direct sow your seeds, then again it gives you like a week or 2 advantage over those people not using this black plastic system. Now, you might need to buy yourself quite a lot of plastic, but then at least you can reuse it each day. It is a standard practice in the commercial horticultural industry, so why not use it at home? Gives you that advantage, gets your crops out earlier, gives you more food, because at the end of the day, if you're trying to grow food to feed yourselves, then the longer growing season is going to be beneficial to you. Right, so this is my tip to save you some actual real money. Now, as I said earlier, we are in the middle of January, and if you go online, check out the major seed suppliers, you'll still see there are some absolute bargains to purchase. And believe me, these aren't going to be there for very long, because as soon as the season picks up proper, so you're looking at 3 weeks, maybe possibly 4 weeks, all those prices are going to change, and you'll be paying full whack for all your spring seeds. So I picked these up. I've got 5 packs here. I've got some rhodocitons, I've got some Rudbeckias, I've got some Thunbergia, that's black-eyed Susie, I've got some Ipomia, morning glory, and I've got some Spanish flag, all plants that Lorna's mentioned over the course of the years, plants that she'd like to grow. So I managed to pick all this stuff up and delivered, because postage and packaging takes out a large chunk of it. £7.50. Give it 4 more weeks, you'll be paying £7.50 just to get one of these sent through the post to you. So there's real money to be saved. Check through now, have a look, buy what you need. Don't start buying stuff you don't need, because that's just wasted money. But there you go, absolute bargains to be made right now. So there you go, that's my top tip. Actually, I do have one more pretty major job that if you get that done now, it's going to save you a load of back-breaking work. Look, I know it's middle of January, so conditions are pretty crappy. I know it's not bad today, it's actually quite mild, but I know we're going to get some freezing temperatures because February's only around the corner. And it's doing the weeding, and nobody likes to do the weeding when conditions are freezing, when the ground is wet, because it's just absolutely mess, and it's a thankless task. But if you can clear all your perennial weeds, if you can clear what annual weeds you got there, then it's going to save you a load of back-breaking work later on, when really you've got so much more interesting work to do later on. So make it easy on yourself, get yourself a hoe and start hoeing out those annual weeds. That just deals with them straight away. And with your perennial weeds, if you want to do it the quick and lazy way, then get on those lovely flame thrower things, and that will take that down to soil level and take the root out as well. So don't forget that the moment we start getting a bit of warm, mild weather, those weeds are going to be rampant, and those annual seeds they'll flower and seed. Yeah, it seems like they'll do it in a couple of days. It does take longer, but I mean they're out and about, and you could be smothered in seeds before you know it, and the whole borders will be full of them. So weeding, I know it's a horrible job. It's one of those jobs, if you keep on top of it, then you just got to just quickly skim through periodically. But if you don't do it now, don't start preparing it. I mean, we were doing it here really prior to Christmas when the weather wasn't too bad, so weeds isn't really an issue here. You can't really spray it with a systemic weed killer because they need to be actively growing, but you know, you could put down something like a contact weed killer if you wanted to, and put that down too. But yeah, weeding now, it sounds a bit odd weeding in January, but if the weeds are there, believe me, as soon as it warms up, they're going to romp away. So there you go, that's everything I've got to say. But if there's any great jobs great seasonal jobs that you could be doing now to save you time and effort later on in the spring, then let us know, put it in the comments. We generally would love to hear from you, and it also helps other people who like to read the comments find out more. So thanks for watching, and before I go, I've got one last bit of information that allows you to help support this channel. It doesn't cost you any money whatsoever. Then do so. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video. Right, now just before you go, if you want to see more content, more behind the scenes stuff, and images that I've taken of some weird freaky plants over the years, then you're in luck, because we have created an Instagram page. So you can find the link in our description, you can find the link on our main page, and if I'm clever enough, I might be able to get a link somewhere up there. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you want to see more YouTube stuff, then check out this video here. That's quite a good one. And if it doesn't float your boat, then another one right there. And enjoy these while I've still got the strength, imagination and aptitude to make them. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.